What we're looking at this evening is soul mastery. Okay, we're going to have a look at it through this. I'm sure you're already curious as to what this is, this is called the consciousness triad. I'll refer to it a little bit later as we go further into this session. Okay, so to begin with, what is the soul? What is it? What does it mean? What is it as far as we're concerned? The soul is really in this context of what I'm looking at, and in a way of giving you some information that will help you as part of your progress moving forward. Okay. Now, what is it in this context? Well, the soul it's the connection between the physical world, so you as your physical world, and you as the spiritual world. Okay, so the soul, it's an energy form that provides the kind of the connection between the two parts of yourself. Okay, but there is a situation within that. There is a division that occurs, okay, between the personality and the soul vibration, and that division occurs between, as I say, the personality and the soul, and it occurs to the level of which it creates a separation. Okay, so there is quite a strong feeling of a separation between the two. How does that manifest in your life? Well, what does the separation feel like? Well, it feels as though you will fear that you'll never attain a sense of purpose. Okay, so the separation between the personality and the soul, this is the sort of the void between. It will create a sensation that you will fear that you'll never attend a sense of purpose. You'll never fulfill what you feel that you're here to do. This is a sign that you're feeling a level of the separation. It'll also be that you don't feel or you don't know what home is. Okay, so you can feel that there is a sensation of wanting to go home, but you're not entirely sure what home means. Okay, so there is a separation taking place when you feel separated, distanced rather, from a feeling of home. I'll go a little bit more into that as we go further into the session. You'll also find that you fear that you'll never be able to settle. Okay, you'll never be able to settle the overwhelm, and the overwhelm that is it's a sensation, it's a feeling, it's an experience that all highly sensitive people go through, but definitely all highly intuitive sensitive people go through. Okay, which is that you will feel, or you do currently feel in your life right now, quite often overwhelmed by other people's behaviors, other people's thoughts, other people's feelings, their emotions. It may even affect you in reading something. This is why a lot of intuitive sensitives find looking at things going on in the world, looking at things in the media, a painful, physically painful thing to do. It feels desperately uncomfortable because it creates an internal feeling of overwhelm. It's a flooding of the senses. Okay, so for you, and most definitely if you're watching this session live, if you're watching the session full stop, you are an intuitive sensitive. Okay, so you are somebody who not only feels the thoughts, feelings, and just general things that go on around other people, and have perhaps had an increased sense of that as time has increased, but you also have a strong intuitive feel about you. Other people will call you wise. They'll call you maybe at times a little bit spooky, because you tend to be very perceptive. You get things really quite correct. You will also find that there is to a certain degree, and for some of you it will be more so than others, that you have a very strong kind of hypersensitivity to things. So you will have a level of hypervigilance that is really quite strong in a lot of intuitive sensitive. So you know when you go somewhere, you know where the door is. You certainly don't like people behind you. You don't like people stepping too far into your energy field where you can't see them. And you're not entirely comfortable with, you'll find if you think about it, you're not entirely comfortable with people standing directly in front of you. You prefer to talk to people having them to one side, or just slightly off center. Why? Because it's an crowding in your energy system. So you will feel it literally pounding in the solar plexus. How does that occur? It's a level of an energy exchange, but also, there's the whole factual side of things, that there is a link between the gut, so to speak, and the gut, not so to speak, the actual gut, and the brain in terms of fear responses. Okay, so as an intuitive sensitive, and it's through the vagus nerve. So as an intuitive sensitive, you pick that up as a constant flow. Okay, so it's a constant flow, not only within your own system, but you pick it up very distinctly as far as other people are concerned. So what happens within that over a period of time? Yes, and a build up over a period of time where it builds up, you will most certainly begin to feel a level of overwhelm. Okay, so as far as the separation is concerned between the personality self, I'll explain that a little bit further, and the soul vibration, as far as that's concerned, it has a level of inevitability about it. I think most definitely in our initial feelings and our emotional world, etc., there is no choice but for it to have gone through a level of separation before there is a connection. Okay, because I think if you look at things along the lines of, if everything was perfect, if we came in as these highly aware, which we are, highly consciously aware, evolved beings with a strong sense of an enlightened experience, we wouldn't have much to learn from the physical world. Okay, so there is always an element at some stage or another in your life where there is a sense of separation between the soul and the personality. Okay, so what we're going to look at as far as this session is concerned is the developmental cycles that the soul energy tends to find itself going through. Okay. So as far as you're concerned, as an intuitive sensitive, you are a driven, very driven, what I'm going to refer to as a soul hunter. Okay, that though suggests you're going looking for something that you haven't already got. You're trying to sort of hunt it down. That's not the case at all. It's a way of expressing it where you can feel it really quite strongly. A soul hunter it has a feel to it that you don't stop until you find what you're looking for. Okay, so as an intuitive sensitive, you will find that is something that is following you through life. Okay, it's deep. Okay, it's deep into your intuitive process. It's deep into how you function. It's very much about the engagement of what I refer to as the lantern path. Just to explain that very quickly, when you start the development process, or as you have been, again, for you to be on this session, you're most definitely on that route. You've opened a door into a world which is something that you've opened the door into, something that you can't then walk back out of. You've gone in there and you're following a pathway, and that pathway is dark, It isn't that well lit. What it is lit by is lanterns. Okay, so obviously this is a metaphorical way of looking at it. So those lanterns are dotted around. They don't perfectly align to the path. They're dotted around and they're in different locations and they're not all easy to locate. In fact, there's quite a lot of climbing or negotiating over things or around things in order to collect them. But what you're doing is that you stepped onto that path and you are collecting lanterns. Now the issue is that other people who can't be doing with, don't want to make the effort to, don't want to take that sort of stronger level of self-responsibility, or don't have that capability in their life, or they don't have it right now, like to borrow the lanterns that you've collected. And they like to borrow them because, or take them even, because they need as much light too. The tricky thing is that if you haven't got that many lanterns, you can't afford to lose any. Okay, because in you collecting those lanterns and you lose some, you're going to notice, and you're going to notice significantly, because it'll drain aspects of your energy. This is why for all intuitive sensitives, at some stage within their development cycle, or definitely in the early days, you go through this kind of experience of a draining of your own energy. As you collect more and more lanterns, and let's say you've got 40 odd and you're carrying them all, sounds like, you know, that's more of a burden, is that when you're carrying them, if someone comes along to borrow or take one or two, you're not going to notice. Okay, it's not a big deal. It's not something that's an issue for you. You can afford then to lose a few lanterns. So what is the whole process of collecting lanterns? Well, the whole process of collecting lanterns is becoming more and more aware of the soul's process, but also your soul connection between personality and the soul vibration. Okay, so collecting lanterns is about really deepening that relationship between these two parts of yourself, the physical world and your interpretation of your own spiritual world, which is very much geared towards self-knowledge, self-development, and a feeling of home in the physical world. Okay, so the process of soul searching, okay, generally for most people, starts in one of three ways. Okay, have a think about these ways in which it has perhaps developed for you. Maybe you can type in and let me know sort of round about what kind of things that you have as far as this is concerned in these three different ways. Maybe you have a different one, but these are the three main ways. Maybe you can tell me about those different ones. There's the three ways where you step onto the path of actively looking for lanterns. Okay, actively looking for them, being consciously aware of it, and wanting to deepen your connection with yourself and understand your process through life. Now, those three routes, the first one, and there's no particular order, but I'm going to say them in this particular order, okay, is you will have had an awakening process, okay? You may have had a spontaneous awakening, but this is often triggered by trauma, okay? So if there has been some kind of traumatic experience in your life that you think back to and you think, now did that start me on this path? You will quite often answer yes. Now, that particular scenario started you off on your path of wanting to discover more about your soul's process. Okay. The second one is you have an early life history that means you want to reach for something deeper. So that sounds a little bit cryptic, but if you view it along the lines of, and some of you may have had all three, I would say that having all three is not an unusual experience as far as an intuitive sensitive is concerned, but you're going to have at least one of these three that started you off on this stronger path. So this one is that you have an early life history that means you want to reach for something deeper. What that means is that you may have had an early life experience that has left your adult life feeling a little bit shipwrecked or abandoned. Okay, so there is a level of emotional abandonment that is present. Now, why would you step onto a path of soul development when part of you feels emotionally abandoned? You will have reached towards a connection with a deeper part of yourself, towards the soul realization, for the simple reason that in order for you to feel a connection with this world where it feels valued, you have to start that connection with yourself. And that early experience may well have given you permission to formulate that level of connection. Okay, it would have given you an internal permission to say, do you know what? I want to reach towards something that is unconditional, because it feels like my early life experiences have been very conditional. So some of those abandonment examples may be, just using this as an example, some of those abandonment examples may be that you've come from backgrounds where one or the other, or both parents were emotionally unavailable. They may have been emotionally unavailable through excessive work, may have been emotionally unavailable through depression, may have been emotionally unavailable through an addiction of some form or another. Alcohol is obviously one that is a well-known function within that. It may well have been that your own parental background was that they came from an abandoned environment. It could well have been that they had a parent who died when they were very young, for which, of course, that's going to leave an imprint of abandonment, so that when it came to you, it was hard for them. It was hard for them to accept love, because for people who are experiencing abandonment, often it's hard for them to accept love in case they're abandoned again. So they'll keep themselves safe by creating a level of emotional distance. Okay, so the soul connection comes in when it's time, when there is a strong requirement or desire within your internal world to deepen your connection so that the abandoned self can heal. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is simply, and you think, oh, I haven't got any of those 2. Number 3 is simply a nice way of looking at it, which is that you feel that there is more to life, that you have this strong feeling, that you have, there's a rich inner world that goes on for you. Your internal world is colourful in its expression, and you're looking for something that reflects that gives you an indication of that particular vibration, that gives you a level of connection at an extraordinary level. Okay, but what tends to be is that if you have reached the soul path from a level of either abandonment, or that it's come from an awakening process. So maybe you had a spontaneous example of having a spiritual experience that has been triggered by trauma. Those, number one and number two, tend to create scenarios where there is a stronger commitment to your soul's progress, rather than number three, which it becomes a nice, engaged journey. Okay, it becomes something that's very pleasant, that's very nice, that feels very settled as far as your internal world is concerned. For some people, you will have all three. Okay, in which case you've got all three, you're very committed. So the next, sorry. Oh, right, okay. Right, sorry. I'm being mumbled at here. There is a poll on screen. If you can click to just let me know which one of the three, or all three, you feel is your strongest area. It gives me a feel for the types of people who are very much generally as a feeler for you as this personal audience this evening. Okay, so that would be great if you can click on and just give me an idea. Okay, so as we go deeper into this, we're looking at what the soul gives us access to, okay, as far as our intuitive process is concerned. It's about giving us a deeper connection and empathy, not only for ourselves, but also as far as our connection is concerned with other people. And this is my experience in terms of what I have definitely gained on this path. And, you know, I've been involved, or say involved, I've been very deeply involved with this path for around about 16 years now, if not more than that, probably a lot more than that, but full time for around about 16 years. And I've had a lot of experiences during that time, an incredible amount of experiences that have been both traumatic and enlightening. And that's not just through that 16 years, it's gone on for my entire life. Okay, so I've had many different experiences in my lifetime which would surprise and probably shock most people, the amount of things that have occurred. Why would those things have occurred? Well, they will have occurred simply because it helps me as an individual to understand my own process, have a deeper sense of connection and empathy for my own internal world, but it most definitely gives me a connection and understanding as far as other people's worlds are concerned. So the engagement of the soul's frequency, what does it do? Well, it opens us up to what I believe, and definitely what I've experienced as the incredible world of self-belief. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that you then start to have a faith, okay, and a faith that isn't reliant on someone else's behavior, that's not reliant on a deity, that's not reliant on something that's external to us. But at the same time, that self-faith doesn't make you so insular that you're cut off from everything else. In fact, that self-faith makes you a lot more connected. Okay, so most definitely in my absolute experience, and definitely through the people that I have engaged with over many years, as far as the intuitive sensitive field is concerned, is that engaging with the soul's process definitely leads you to experience of self-faith. So going back to the poll, you're choosing between the three areas, okay, that I've just covered, which is, which one are you? Did it come from trauma? So have your soul searching, and you're thinking, oh no, hang on a second, I've just come onto here, I don't know what my soul searching is. Have a feel for it for the moment. Has it come from an experience around, you've had an enlightened experience that was perhaps triggered by trauma? Have you had a foundational background where you felt that it could possibly have been emotional abandonment? Quite often, if you haven't done any sort of work on that area, it can be uncomfortable to ask yourself that question. Or is it purely that you have a very kind of rich inner world that is curious and has a deep connection as far as the spiritual side of seeing yourself is concerned? So choose which one it is that you feel most deeply connected to. It gives me an idea of who you are in terms of who you are as far as your soul path is concerned right now at this particular stage. Okay, so it's closing in a minute, so if you can just click on there, that would be great. Now, when we look at the soul's process, we're also looking at parts that we would perhaps look at as far as the conscious mind is concerned. So this sort of area, the base of who we are. Now, if we look at it from the materialist or reductionist kind of theory of things, viewpoint as far as how consciousness works, it would only be something that operates within the headspace, okay? That our consciousness is something that purely exists within the brain, that there is nothing outside of that, okay? Perhaps that's true. I mean, most certainly science likes to work in that direction of trying to affirm that point that there is nothing as far as our consciousness is concerned outside of the brain. Okay, that may be the case, but what I've seen, and most definitely what I've experienced, and I think this is partly where we come up against the issue between imagination and insight, or the conflict in our internal world, is where does the approval come from? So if we accept that there is something that's deeper than it, as far as our consciousness is concerned, that's deeper than our function within the brain, that it reaches outside of that, that there is a different level of awareness, that it somehow makes us unacceptable. Okay, so there is a kind of beginnings of that kind of conflict. So if you're going through a period in your life where you're feeling a little bit stuck as far as that's concerned, you don't know which part to believe, or whether you feel more going into your soul's process that you think, is this all hocus pocus? What I'm saying to you is put that to one side for the moment and accept that whether it is the case that consciousness only exists inside or out, and does exist outside of the brain, what it gives people as far as the soul's path is concerned is an extraordinary level of opportunity. Okay, and it's an extraordinary level of opportunity to engage with something bigger than themselves. Okay, that gives them something to engage with that means more, that is about connectivity, it's about other people, it's about empathy, it's about kindness. Okay, so if we restrict our thinking into thinking, okay, everything exists within our conscious mind is a black and white world of it's this or it's that, then we're narrowing our focus to a level of which it becomes so narrow that we can't see outside of ourselves. Okay, so even if you're sort of in that space of wondering, well, is this so, is this not so? I have a conflict with this inside of myself. We've all gone through that. I've gone through that, having a huge amount of conflict over that as far as my own internal world is concerned, until I've had plenty of evidence to suggest otherwise, that park it and put it to one side and accept that your soul's process is about the expansion of you, okay, rather than something that you're going into that you think as strange, a little bit odd, or takes you into territory that you feel you can't get back from. Okay. So, oh, right, okay, excellent. So we've, very interesting. So the poll suggests that number 2 was the very strong area in comparison to the other areas. So the first one, which was an experience, 28%. Second one, which was about abandonment at some level, early in life abandonment, is 47%, whereas number 3, which is a rich internal life, is 26%. So that's really interesting, because that absolutely affirms the level of which that I expected as far as the divisions are concerned. That yes, number 2, the abandonment component, plays for quite a few people a huge part of desire at a deep level to reach a level of unconditional acceptance. Okay, and the soul's path gives access to that. Okay, so that's really interesting, really, really interesting. So going into the levels of, so this next component as to what we're looking at will give you an idea of where you sit within this, which is there are generally 3 groups, okay, of soul seekers. So soul seekers, soul hunters. I'm going to say soul seekers as far as this is concerned, because it's slightly softening as far as that in referring to that. Okay, so again, have a think and have a feel for which one you are. Okay, so these 3 groups are, the first one is the intense group. Okay, so as far as the soul's process is concerned, the intense group want to move very quickly, push through lessons of the heart center, because many of the soul's processes are around the heart center. They push through it quite strongly and quite quickly, okay, in terms of there's a determination and there's a facing of things that are often quite hard to face. Okay, so it's an intense push as far as that's concerned. So if you are part of the intense group, your soul lesson tends to be to ruthlessly resolve karma. Okay, so if you feel right at this moment in time, or you feel that this has generally been your life process, that things have moved at an astounding pace, that you've been thrown all kinds of things in life to deal with, to process, to become aware of, that you feel that you've had more than your fair share, then this is most likely to be the group that you're part of. Okay. Number 2 is the moderate group. Okay. So your soul-seeking experience has been about enjoying the experience rather than the destination. So the intense group tend to feel that there is a strong internal need or requirement or a desire to resolve something, so it kind of motivates that movement forward. Okay, the moderate group, it's much more about enjoying the experience rather than seeking a destination. Okay, so it's about taking in the entirety of an experience rather than just trying to get there. Okay, so the moderate group have absolutely no issues, no problems at all with insight. No issue at all. They absolutely have a very strong insight into things, but they do confuse it with imagination. So if you feel quite strongly that you like to go along with the process, but you get stuck on this area where you kind of not sure whether you experience something as insight or imagination. Is it insight into your own path forward or insight into somebody else's path forward? Is it true that you're receiving that, or is it part of a vivid imagination? If you can't come up against that quite often, then it's likely that you're part of the moderate group. Okay. What is this? It's the realm of unconditional love. So the life cycle for the moderate group is it's about the soul finding its way back to a journey of understanding what unconditional love is. Okay, so if you're in the moderate group, you tend to find, and definitely at the moment, it's about finding a level of self-love that is beyond judgment and moving, well, it's moving away from judgment. So you may well find, and definitely as part of the soul's path, is that you are experiencing, or you have experienced, quite a lot of judgment in your life. Okay, and you've been finding your way to resolving that. And whether that judgment has been in the external world, as in other people, it most definitely will have been as far as your internal world is concerned. Okay. The third group is the gentle group. Okay. So certainly in order to progress, they need a level of certainty. Okay, so the gentle group look for certainty. They won't participate necessarily within something unless they can be certain of a particular outcome. If you, and this isn't unusual to sensitives, okay, just generally as someone who has a sensitive nature, which is a heightened activity as far as the nervous system is concerned, all intuitive sensitives are sensitive, okay, which is that you will have a heightened nervous system. So people with a heightened nervous system tend to look for certainty. And the reason is because it can't really be dealing with anything else. Okay, you're already having to process a lot through your system. To then have to process aspects of the unexpected, you're not comfortable with that. Okay, so the gentle group, and this is across the board generally, but most absolutely as far as the gentle group is concerned, you won't like surprises, and you definitely don't like roller coasters. Okay, it triggers something really uncomfortable as far as the nervous system is concerned. So the gentle group, as far as soul seeking is concerned, they take the time and they have to process logic and reason. So quite a lot of the decisions as far as moving forward is concerned is very set around logic and reason. But once I move into the heart center, which is part of the process, so part of the gentle group's process is definitely about moving into the heart center, the life lesson is self-acceptance, okay? And it is the power to observe, okay? So you're dealing within that, or working towards the power to observe. So again, another poll, let's have a little look. Are you part of the intense group, the moderate group, or the gentle group? So do you like to go full on? And this, I'm talking about not just things in life, because people have a different approach as far as working life is concerned, because people tend to separate, and this isn't a good idea, but this is what happens at some stage within it, is you separate your soul's journey from your career, your life as far as other things are concerned. So you think, well, I'm really quite intense about work, my career path. And so you think, well, okay, I'm a soul seeker on an intense path. No, that's not how it works. I'm looking at it as far as you're concerned around your soul seeking path. So intense group is that you feel that you're burning fast through karma and karmic influences, and that there is no stopping you, that there is a commitment that feels very driven by an internal need, that isn't of the personality. It feels much deeper than that. Are you the moderate group, which is that your journey is it's you're enjoying the view a little bit more, that you don't see it as a destination, but there are components within that which are, it's not about a destination, but you're learning the process of the heart as far as acceptance is concerned. Or are you part of the gentle group? Okay, do you need certainty before you feel brave enough to act on your soul's journey? Okay. Okay, so Shannon is asking the question. I'm just going to answer this question because Shannon's asking, Heidi, by putting ourselves in groups, are we not putting words and dimensions on realms that cannot be categorized? Grouping to me only exists in the mind while soul searching goes beyond our minds. Brilliant question. Absolutely perfect, Shannon. And yes, you are completely right. It caught me out on this one because what I'm actually doing is shaping your mind at the moment to help you feel, as from the personality level, more comfortable with embracing the soul cycle by understanding a level of which or where you're coming from. Okay, so Shannon, that is a brilliant question, and you're absolutely right. As far as the soul cycle is concerned, it is it's an energy form. Soul's frequency is, it's very energetic. So it's difficult to actually, for a lot of your experience as far as the soul's concerned, is to put it into words. Okay, very, very tricky. But yes, absolutely, Shannon, brilliant question. So just give it a go and see where you think right now your three areas are. Do you feel that you're an intense part of the intense group as far as your soul seeking is concerned? Do you feel that you're part of the moderate group, or do you feel that you're part of the gentle group? Okay, give a feel for each energy cycle. I'm not going to explain them again, but if you go for a feel of it, does it feel like an intense journey for you? Does it feel like a moderate journey for you, that it's a heart-opening process, or does it feel like a gentle process for you? Do you feel a little bit more unsettled or a little bit scared? What it feels like to me, even before I have a look to see what your answers are, what it feels like to me is quite a few of you have got the intense route, that it feels like it's an intense energy. And you'll feel it in the body, okay? And where you'll feel it is around the heart center. You'll feel it around the heart center, and it'll feel a little bit further up into the throat area as well, okay? So it feels to me energetically, and I have no access to the screens, etc., to tell me where you're at right now. It gets passed to me, but my feeling is that there is quite a strong connection between the intense and the moderate, because when I look at your energy as far as that's concerned, because we're all linked as far as energetic vibration is that it sort of goes whoa around intense, and it goes whoa around moderate, and it sort of goes gently, well, as it would do anyway, as far as the gentle vibration is concerned. So have a feel in your own body as to where, it's not where you think you would like to be, and as Sharon's question is a great one in asking that, which is, it's to feel it through the body's energy. Okay, so there's only a few more seconds, so just plonk your answer on. Great. So to move on, I could be yabbering all night, so I will go a lot quicker as far as this is concerned. So we move on now to the 7 stages of illumination. Okay, so these are the 7 stages of the soul's illumination path. And this is a way of vocalizing through formations, through ancient texts, etc., of what the soul's path is and what the journey is. Okay, I'm going to explain a little bit more of how this works as I go through this. So, as far as excellent, gosh, I was right then. 43% saying it's the intense path that they feel burning through karma. 34% of you feel that you're in the moderate area where it's something that's developing through the heart center, and 24% of you feel that that you need the certainty, that you're uncertain, and your soul's working through that path right now of allowing you and pushing you into the heart center so that you can allow it more freedom. Okay, so exactly as I thought it would be. I wasn't quite sure it would be that much difference between number 1 and number 2. It's great. So it's a good balance. Actually, it's a very good balance, and I hope you're able to. I know the system that we use for the widely broadcast webinars is different to the one that we use for the members area. So for those of you who are members thinking, oh, hang on a second, this thing rushes through, we're not used to this, because on the members session you can see the feed for a lot longer and all of that kind of thing. We have to use much faster technology in order to get everybody on, because the amount of people that come onto this wider session crashes the server. So if you're wondering why it speeds through something like that, and you think, well, hang on a second, does it do that in? It doesn't do that in when I'm on a live session in the members area. It feels calmer. Then yeah, sorry about that. It rushes through it. Okay, that's why I haven't got it immediately to my attention. Okay, so when we're looking at the 7 stages of illumination, and looking at it in this route, this path, it's not an absolute given order. So again, if you think, oh, does it have to actually operate in this order? If you think of it along the lines of, the soul is not a linear process. Okay, our headspace, our mind, our social world makes a lot of things a linear process. As far as the soul's process is concerned, everything, it's not time orientated. Okay, everything that we do within this, it's not time orientated. It's something that exists all at once and all as one. Okay, so but this is the order just to help you kind of place things. So the first part of the stages of soul illumination is, the first one is, there is a desire for knowledge. Okay, so there is a soul desire for knowledge. Now that desire for knowledge comes from the soul spark. Okay, and that soul spark of awareness is about a desire to come into a physical incarnation. So in looking at it from the top down, so if you're looking at this from the root basis, when we're looking at this from the physical realms. Okay, so the first one in terms of the desire for knowledge is coming from, want of a better way of expressing this, from the crown vibration. So it's your soul spark, it's the vibration that created a level, or is your level of consciousness. Okay, so if you imagine this, so the soul spark is, if you imagine this as a kind of a bright sun with sparks of light coming off it. Okay, and that bright sun is it's an intelligence. It's an all-knowing intelligence that isn't tangible, but it sets off it has sparks. Its expression is through sparks of light, and those sparks of light become a manifestation of consciousness. Okay, so the number 1 component of that, and those sparks, it's the soul spark. Okay, is the soul's desire for knowledge. Okay, so it comes into a physical incarnation to understand what it is to be physical, what it is to experience emotion. Okay, so the desire for soul knowledge is there from the moment of the awareness that then brings you into a physical incarnation, or the consciousness that brings you in, as far as that's concerned. Now, to give you an example of this, this is something that's very true, and an experience that I had, which makes me have a much stronger kind of connection as far as an awareness and a wider consciousness is concerned. Before my eldest son was even thought about in terms of coming into this world, I had a very, very vivid experience of what I can only describe as his consciousness. And it was in dream state. You could say something going on as far as my psyche was concerned, but I can remember this voice clearly communicating to me. And this was at a time when I really was not aware of anything along these lines and was not expecting myself to be having a child. Okay, and in this dream state, his awareness said to me, and these are pretty much the exact words. It said, "My name is Charles William. I am your son." No, it said, "I am the consciousness of your son. I am coming in to this world soon, and I ask that you call me Charles William. That is my name." I went, whoa, okay. And I woke up and thought, cheek. I'm not planning on having a child right now. And whoa, I was outraged almost that I felt that it was this sort of cheek of this awareness. So within what was actually really quite a short period of time, thinking about it, I was pregnant, and when we went for the scan, they said, "Do you want to know whether it's a boy or girl?" And I said, "I know it's a boy, and his name is Charles William." And I was having a discussion with him this morning about his name, because there aren't many children. There's lots of Charlies, but there's not many children called Charles, really. And I said to him, "We tried calling you Charlie." And he said, and I said, "You said from the moment you could speak, my name is not Charlie, it is Charles William." And he still says that now. He says he won't introduce him, even though other children may call him Charlie or something along those lines. Some of them call him Chaz. He will correct them and say, "My name is Charles." So the desire for our own awareness in terms of coming in to this world can be for some people, it's a very strong experience. And I would say, as far as my eldest son is concerned, I definitely felt that his consciousness was tidying mine up in order for his presentation into the physical world. Okay, and I'm sure many of you have had a kind of an experience of sorts around those particular lines. So the first stage, as I say, is the desire for knowledge. So it's the soul's desire for knowledge and to accumulate an experience, an emotional experience in the physical world. Okay. Number two is, as we move on to Sorry, I'm just getting these in the right order. Number 2 is the desire for freedom. Okay, so what happens within that is the soul seeks liberation. Okay, and how the soul seeks liberation is that it wants a rebirth. Okay, it wants a rebirth cycle in terms of it wants to be free of the rebirth cycle. Okay, so there is a very strong human desire, definitely amongst the conscious. So for you to be conscious of your soul's path, you're an old soul. You've had plenty of goes at this, that there is a level of recollection within your awareness. Okay, so there's a desire for the soul's desire for freedom, which means that it wishes to tidy up and to release itself from karmic influences, the laws of cause and effect, and it wants to free itself from repeating patterns. Okay, so things that are consistently repeating themselves, patterns that have passed through our own history, our own heritage. So it wants to tidy these cycles up. It's a very strong desire to do that, and most definitely a strong desire in the conscious. Okay. Number 3 is the desire for happiness. Okay, so this is about the feeling of bliss, that there is home. Okay, home, as I said this right at the beginning of this session, which is what is home? I want to go home, but I don't understand what home is. Well, this is about the soul's calling within your internal world, and it's saying it wants to feel at home in the physical world. So this is the desire for happiness. So home, what is home? It's an internal safety where it feels that there is a safety and a unified position between the soul and the personality. So that's number 3. So the soul is integrated. Number 4 is the desire to fulfill life purpose. Again, remembering that these energies all exist within one. I'm giving them a numbered viewpoint because it's not numbered in terms of sequence or importance. This is about it just having a feel of that vibration and how it kind of descends through your awareness. So number 4 is the desire to fulfill life purpose. Okay, so this is about an awakening of responsibility towards others. So life purpose will always involve a sense of responsibility towards others. Okay, feeling of contribution. This is where your consciousness shifts into experiencing this kind of sense of wanting a life of service. Okay, and there's a realization of group consciousness, that we're all connected, that all of those sparks, those sunlight sparks, are all part of the same thing. Number 5 is the wounded soul. Okay, so it's the illumination of the wounded soul. So what is this about? This is about healing sorrow. Okay, intuitive sensitives feel pain very sharply. Okay, our nervous systems are more aware than the average person. This is a fact of life in terms of that it is something that is explored now as far as people are concerned, and this hypersensitivity as far as the nervous system is concerned. And what is that about? It's around left right brain influence. Right brain influence in terms of that the right brain is much more connected to the nervous system, to the limbic system, so to our emotions. So intuitive sensitive people they have very colourful emotions and a very open world as far as that is concerned. Okay, so we're very connected. So therefore we're very connected to the soul frequency of the wounded soul. Okay, so you will find that this part manifests in quite a strong way. So this is about healing sorrow, and pretty much the greater refinement of the human vehicle, so how we come into this physical world, the greater the response within the nervous system. So our pain-pleasure scenario polarities are very sensitized, okay? So what is the purpose of the wounded soul? Well, the wounds drive the soul harder, okay? It holds harder in physical world to make more effort into its soul realization. Okay, it's not about a punishment. Number 6 is fear of the mind. Okay, so as the mental body energy increases, this is the mental body here, which is the intelligent will. It's just higher aspects of the personality. As that expands, there is a fear of the mind that expands. So what's the fear of the mind? Well, it's memory, imagination, and anticipation. So it's what we think is there. So it's the what ifs. What if this is there? What if that's there? So this is about the movement through ego dominance. Okay, so the soul has to push harder at this stage for it to be recognized as present in your world. So there is a stage at which there is a wrestling between the soul and the personality, where the soul vibration is getting stronger and the personality is going, no, I'm not sure I can cope with this. It feels like I'm giving something up. It feels like I'm giving up control. If you're going through that, you're in this stage of the soul's process, which is the fear of the mind component. And the last one, no means least, is doubt. Okay, so how does that manifest as far as the soul's illumination is concerned, and the process of that? Well, doubt comes in the sense that you have this doubt in your soul's ability to interact with your destiny. Okay, with how you're supposed to travel through life. That there is a doubt that it can happen, that this can be a realization. What it's actually doing is highlighting the limits of the physical plane to completely satisfy the soul. So there is a definite awareness within this stage that there is something beyond our physical realm. Okay, this is where we shift out of our lower plane of consciousness. Pairs of opposites within the self or within our external world are no longer at war. Okay, and what happens within this stage is, or the resolving of this stage as it passes through, because it passes through its layers, is that there is nothing left to continue to attract the shadow. So this means that your life then shapes into a very peaceful process where it doesn't feel that life presents drama, difficulties, or anything that you can't handle. Okay? So what happens as far as the soul's realization is concerned is that doubt in all its shape and forms no longer controls you. Okay? It becomes a flowing part of the process. So hopefully all those made sense, and I'm sure you go, oh, well, hang on a second, what was that one? There will obviously be a replay. You can go back to this and go back through it if you want to. Okay. So how does this shape as far as we're concerned? Well, just quickly to look at this, you find yourself in two aspects of this. What is the consciousness triad for? What's it for? It's a process of illumination. So it's a process of making the soul more conscious. Okay, so how does that work? Generally through people's awareness. Well, you have you as the physical self. So obviously your soul has an awareness from the soul spark coming down into the physical world, for which most people, vast majority of people, are going to be absolutely unaware of. Okay, but there is an awakening as far as that energy is concerned when we're in the physical realms. So how does that manifest? Well, we have the energy here, which, as far as you can see in the background here, I'm not going to go too far into it because it's a whole much longer process for us that's concerned. But just very quickly, what's behind here is the tree of life. Okay, so what we've got within this triangle here of the tree of life is life's dramas, pretty much. So you've got the head center as far as logic is concerned, and to this further extent you have more of the vibration of the emotions. But how does that manifest? Very much in the physical world, which is this kind of black and white thinking. Okay, so it's a very conscious mind, which is, I believe what I know. I'm not going to believe anything that I don't know. Okay, that's how that manifests. And believe me, you know quite a few people that operate in that way, is that they stick to exactly what they understand as being the reality of something and won't budge on it. Okay, they won't shift, they won't move on it, they won't accept it. So in terms of our own internal world, there comes a stage of which we pass through the wrestle between insight and imagination, and everybody passes through that. So everybody passes through that at some stage or another, and for some people it sticks more than others. Okay, the wrestle between insight and imagination. And if you're certain life codes, you will find that has a huge impact on you. Okay, definitely. If you just very quickly, definitely if you're an 8 vibration, you will have a wrestle between insight and imagination, which is the view of, how do I know if something is part of my vivid thoughts, or is it something that is insightful? Well, at some stage or another during the soul's process, you will have insightful messages. Okay, and those insightful messages will come for many from the inside out. Okay, so they don't always relate to other people, they often relate to yourself. How do those messages start? Well, it starts through our conscious to unconscious world, which is through dream state, often first. Okay, so the wrestle between insight and imagination is symbolically the wrestle between the personality self and the soul frequency. So personality is the ego, and the soul frequency is the soul frequency. Okay. As we gain more awareness, the heart center brings knowledge of the soul, which is why you all will have gone through an experience at some level or another in your life where you felt that your heart center is opening. And for some people, that's really uncomfortable because you're going through strong changes in your life. Experiences in your life that you weren't expecting. Okay, and what it's doing is it's bringing a deeper knowledge of your soul, but also leading you towards a deeper knowledge of your soul's awareness. Okay, then as we have more levels of heart awareness, so part of this is it's when people go through the pink and purple phase. Okay, just be quite sort of basic about it. If you're very attracted to lilacs, pinks, it's the heart energy opening. Okay, or you may well have done at some stage or another, or you've been very attracted to things like rose quartz and those kind of crystals. It's all part of this, the heart center opening. And what does it do within that? Well, in order for you to have a level of self-aware of soul awareness, you have to have a level of self-respect. Okay, so how do we gain that sort of higher level of self-respect? It's about our boundaries. Okay, so when we're going through this kind of opening process as far as the soul frequency is concerned, what it's meant to be doing is not removing things from your life. It's about understanding things on an emotional level that don't work for you anymore. Okay, if you've got the strong abandonment framework, then you will often hold on to things longer than you should do. Okay, so you often hold on to bad situations trying to make them good when you perhaps should have let them go earlier. What the soul's process is within that is allowing you to feel comfortable with letting go of things when they should have been let go of, rather than trying to save something or to take more care of something that has no care for you. Okay, that sounds a little bit peculiar. It's not about an empathy for the self, and it's not about an empathy for another person. It's been about an energy of saving something else, okay, rather than an empathy all around. It's a very different vibration. So when we the soul's purpose is when it's going into this frequency, a lot of emotional things can come up, and definitely things around relationships, etc. So this comes up as the highest aspect of the personality. And this is the stage at which people go through an experience of feeling that they're guided, that they have an element of guides, that there is a voice within, or a sort of a sensory kind of experience of feeling that someone is around to assist, to help, or that they've had that kind of experience. And that is where the heart is, the heart center is flourishing as part of the soul experience. Then we have the next aspect, which a lot of you will be going through right now, which is centered around the throat vibration. Okay, this is about spiritual love in terms of what becomes unconditional. So lots of you will be going through this because you're on here, you're on this particular session, so you'll be very attracted to it from the throat vibration. Is that it's about the soul's expression. Okay, and for the soul to have its full expression, this is about things becoming unconditional. So it's about moving through judgments, self-judgments, and as that's going through, quite often you'll have a high level of self-criticism and feelings of that being pained, in that your communication levels or how you communicate that externally, it's almost trapped around the throat or even in the jaw. Okay, so how does this energy show? Well, it's the aspect of spiritual will. This is where you feel that your soul's path is taking over, so your personality is having to kind of go, whoa, okay, give in, and so it's accelerating your path. Okay, within this you have the high aspects of the soul in terms of angels. So angels are symbolic of what's unconditional. Okay, so there is a connection, as far as that, for some people, is a connection where that feels like they are. It's an unconditional way of recognizing aspects of love. Okay, deeper aspects of love. The top part is when we're really focused around the third eye vibration, and this is where it comes into the balance of the male and female energy, the yin yang, and the balance of the full self. Okay, so the soul's process is pushing towards this experience of balance. Okay, so I'm just going to answer this question, which is, Sam, I think the doubt phase links to my last two questions, which I relate to. Would it be possible to learn more about this? I feel like the missing link. Okay, I'm not sure I understand that question. It feels like I think the doubt phase links to my last two questions, which I relate to. Would it be possible to learn more about this? Feels like the missing link. So, sorry, the doubt phase. What do you? What I need to know what the two previous questions were. So, yes, doubt phase. Everyone passes through the doubt phase. Okay, so 7 vibration, which is massive amount of self-doubt before the energy then shifts into a doubt, and I'm going to say self-doubt because that's the easiest way of understanding it, before it then moves into this vibration of everything. It's the end of doubt. Okay, that there isn't anything left to learn from the shadow component. So it doesn't mean to say that you don't experience as components of the shadow, it means that it doesn't impact, that the kind of karmic vibration of it all is dissolved. So it doesn't have to, it no longer impacts. Okay. So hopefully you found this really quite helpful. I know it's quite detailed. I'm trying to fit in as much as I possibly can in this session so that you find it as helpful as possible. But the way to be looking at this is about having a connection within this as to what resonates, what feels your stage, or for you to feel more settled in your process, that you don't feel kind of alone within this or left within it. The reason I do this, and many of you have heard me say this before, is the reason I do this is because when I was opening up, when my process felt like it was opening and running away with me, and wondering what on earth was going on, that there wasn't anything. Okay, there wasn't anything to help me through that process. There wasn't anything to give me a level of understanding of. There wasn't anything that I found helpful. What was available seemed all too, whoa, I'm not sure about that, for me to feel comfortable with. So I do this, I do my best within this in terms of giving you a level of understanding, for the simple reason that I try and give to you what I would have liked to have received. Okay, so which I would have found helpful, that I would have found comforting, that I would have found a pleasant experience in the realization that there were other people just like me, that there's a whole world of people just like me that have this, this kind of insight into things, this very strong internal drive to a deeper world, but it doesn't give that to me in the external. And I think, well, hang on, what's this all about? So this is why I do this. I do it because I see it as something that's important, but I also see it as how things are shifting and how things are changing. I think we're now moving into an age where the sensitive and intuitive souls are the ones who are the desires for them to be a lot more engaged with things, a lot more understanding, and helping everybody else through this process of understanding ourselves at a deeper level. We've moved through the basics of survival in the Western world. We've done that. We've mastered that. So the process of taking things deeper is becoming more natural and more of is a stronger desire, and we can see this through there's a huge increase in mental illness, and whether temporary or sustained, in that there's levels of fear to be processed and uncertainty, and all of these kind of vibrations that are very active at the moment. I think expecting by, I think it's 2020, that depression and mental health issues to be the World Health Organization's #1 concern above all other things, because that is the thing that's going to be affecting people the most. Now, why is it that these things are coming in to affect people the most? Well, because we're living in a time of extreme overwhelm, but we're also living in time of greatest time, I think, ever, which is the opportunity for us to be aware of ourselves at a much deeper level, where all of these vibrations become integrated. But in order for us to experience this, we have to pass through components of our own pain. And some of that pain isn't ours, and I've seen that numerous times. I've seen that within all the people that I deal with. I've seen that within people within the circle massively, that you are actually having to process other people's worlds as well as your own. And it's not that you're choosing to do it, it's that you're carrying history. We all carry history. We all carry our own history, but we're also carrying it for other people. So the soul realization is, to a huge degree, is about releasing the history to actually get ourselves into that place of number 7, which is doubt, in that we resolve the doubt so that we exist in an internal state of peace. And I would say that this journey is 100% worth it. I've been through it. I've been through extraordinarily difficult and painful things, which I'm not going to waffle on about right now because I think I've already waffled on far too long. But what has taken me through this, what has taken me through to this level of understanding, is this whole experience. And the commitment to it is absolutely, I would say, 100% worth it. Okay. So we're at the end of this session. If you want to, move this on further, which as I said, I recommend, for the simple reason that that's what I've done, and I can say I have a very nice life now. I have a very nice life of things in balance, and I have a very nice life of my sensitivity in a place that is manageable and pleasant to be around. Okay. So if you want to take your soul development further, then I've got a couple of options for you, several options for you. As I say, this is based on not only my experience, but also the thousands of intuitive sensitives that I've helped. Okay, so the first option that you have, if you're a one-to-one kind of person, okay, and you can afford it, then I suggest you book a soul plan reading with me. What I do within that is I take you through your own personal consciousness line, okay, using the archetypes. Is a very powerful way of looking into things. It's a very helpful way of looking into things. People gain huge amounts of insight and a massive amount of change within these processes and looking through your own personal consciousness line. I'm still astounded. I've been doing this for a long time now, but I'm still astounded what comes up and what comes up as a path of resolution within the soul plan readings. It's for you, so a soul plan reading is for you if you have a life challenge that you want to look at, okay, and that you want to understand the unconscious patterns as far as that's concerned, to seek to solve. It's also for you if you're interested in what your soul energy has planned for you in your current learning, okay? And it's for you if you like things communicated to you honestly. I'm known for being very honest, okay, as far as the interpretation, obviously kindly honest, but being, very honest. So don't ask me if you don't want to know the answers. A soul reading is not for you if that's the case. It's definitely not for you if you want a general reading, okay? And I'm saying that because I'm too expensive, okay? I'm too expensive for a general reading. And it's not my key areas, okay? And it's not for you if you're overly reliant on wanting the outside world to fix something right now for you, because what I do within soul readings is I'm looking at your participation, okay? So your participation within the personality and the soul vibration being more conscious in their way of interacting and uniting. And when that starts to connect together, or connects together in a stronger way, huge amounts of shifts and changes, etc., happen as far as that's concerned. Okay, I've seen it too many times for it not to be true, and also, people have had very strong experiences. Okay. So if you want a soul reading, there's only one of me. So I only have a few of those available, and I only have a few available of soul plan readings in the next few months. Okay, so I strongly suggest, if you want it, if it's something you think, yes, that is absolutely for me, then secure a space now. You secure it with a deposit. Okay, the details are there for you. The standard price for a soul plan session is £175. The today price, so as part of this session, is £145. Okay, what you do within that is that you pay your deposit, which is £52, and that secures you a slot. And then what happens is you will then send details of choosing your timing, etc., as to when your session is. Okay, but as I say, I don't have loads of those, so if that is something that really does interest you and you think, yes, that is for me, then I suggest you do it sooner rather than later. Okay, because I only have so many slots within the year. Okay, and we're coming up for September already, so there's not that many left. There is a special offer page that's just for you for this session, which will pop up on your screen. Click on it so you can follow along from there as to being able to download the ebook, because for being on this session you get the ebook, okay, as a free thing that's given to you for attending live with me and still being on, listening to me yabbering on now. That's for sale in my shop at £9.97, but I'm giving that to you now, so there is a link for you to have that, and that complements this session. Okay. The second option of what I'm able to offer you is that you have the ebook from this live session. You can also purchase the processes that go with the ebook, okay, that will take you through the journey of the 7 stages. So most definitely in some of the questions that are coming up that I'm being shown or waved at is that, you know, oh, how do I do this more? How do I do this more? How do I take myself through the process? How do I get more of the awareness of the soul's frequency? Do the processes, okay, that come with the ebook. Now, how are those separated, or what do those involve? Well, section 1, which is if you have the hard copy version CD1, that will take you through the mastering of the 6th sense, okay, which is the entry point to your deepening conscious knowledge of the soul. So it's resolving the conflicts or that are going on between there, or deepening your capability as far as that's concerned. It's processes that take you through different layers of the different bodies, so the mental body and spiritual body, etc. Okay. Section 2, or CD2 if you've got the hard copy, that will take you through the soul transition, okay, to feel the different layers of the energy bodies. Again, a very important part of the development process as far as this is concerned, because it's a very much, soul frequency is very much an energetic process. Sections 3 and 4, or CDs 3 and 4, will take you through the processes matched to each of the 7 stages of illumination. So each of the 7 stages that I have spoken of in this session, section 3 and 4, CDs 3 and 4 will take you through that. Okay. Section 5, or CD5, this is the one that everybody loves and the one that everybody really wants to do, but I suggest you do the others first. Because it takes you, the reason everyone wants to do it is because it takes you out into the experience of bliss. Okay, so this is about accessing the void. And whenever I take anyone out into this space, they go, oh, I'm not sure I want to come back from it. It's very nice, it's a very pleasant experience. But I suggest you do it in order, that you do the preceding ones before you go into doing this one, for the simple reason that you will get a stronger, much deeper experience if you've done the others first. Okay, so but all the listings of the individual tracks are at the beginning of the ebook. So if you think, okay, well, what's the listing of the individual tracks? They're all on the beginning of the ebook. Okay, so download that and you'll see them on there. So the price for the instant download version of the processes, there's two ways of accessing this. So the price for the instant download version is normally it's £57. Tonight for this session it is £37, which is an incredible offer as far as that's concerned. Okay, so I strongly suggest if you want them, you do it now. Okay, the price for the physical box set version is normally, so there's a downloadable version or there's the physical box set version. Physical box set version is £87 normally, and for this session tonight it is £67. Okay, I only have 20 of those boxes still available. Okay, there's only 20 still available, and considering that there are over 1,400, that's 1,400 people signed up for this webinar this evening, I suggest if you want the hard copy of the physical box set version, which is 5 CDs and the workbook in a physical format, sent to you, posted to you, I suggest you order that very quickly, okay? Because there are only 20 of those available. We will be increasing the price for purchasing the download version next Thursday at 7 p.m. Okay, so it's a week's time which the price goes up to the normal listing price. Okay, so I suggest if you want it, you do it sooner rather than later, but also that you utilize that momentum. Okay, we do a lot of things in life where we put things off. I'm absolutely guilty of that myself, various different things. It's something that we definitely do as an intuitive sensitive at some stage or another. Don't put it off. If you want to do it, do it. I learnt something in life a few years ago, as many of you know, something very strong in life a few years ago, which was I nearly lost mine. Well, I've nearly lost mine a few times, but it came very, 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 very close. And something I learnt from that experience, I had an amazing experience, a kind of a full out of awareness but conscious experience of letting go and feeling what it's really like to just completely let go. An amazing experience. But what I learnt from that was that I learnt that if you want something and you want to do something, don't put it off. Because it's not that your life flashes before you. What comes up is it's that what haven't I done that I was meant to do? And now I very much live my life as far as I don't do anything unless I really want to do it. Okay, so doing this session tonight, I've done it because I really want to do it. Okay, everything I do in life is I do it because I really want to do it. I put these processes together, etc. for you. All of these kind of things are put together for you. I do it for you because I really want to do it. Why do I really want to do it? Because I really want to assist your process and make it as comfortable as possible. Because where it wasn't comfortable for me, is to try and make it as comfortable as I can for you. Okay. So the third option, if you're listening still, then you need this one most definitely, is that because you know this, how I do things is of interest to you. Okay. There is the third option is pay £10 a month version, which is reduced from £15 a month, which is my circle. Okay. If you cancel in the first 30 days, you will receive 100% refund on it. So if you think, okay, well, I sign up for the circle, I'm not sure it's for me, but I'll sign up for it, see how it goes, and you think, oh no, I haven't got time for it, etc., then absolutely you receive a full refund, but it's the £10 option on that, £10 a month option, rather than if you go to the website, it's £15 a month option. What you get as far as the circle is concerned is you will have access to me twice a month as part of the members facility. There's quite a few members, I'm sure, on the session tonight, and who will say that they find it very, very helpful, incredibly helpful. It's a supportive environment. I do live readings. I do a live healing sessions as part of that, which is purely for members. Okay, and I do that twice a month. You think I'm in a different time zone, I'm not sure I can make it at that time, then we have plenty of people who are in different time zones and post questions for the members area ahead of the session, which I still answer, and if they can't make it, then they watch the replays. They're an invaluable thing. I get very emotional and very passionate about the members because I see incredible advancements in who they are and their own development. And you see it because there's a huge amount of dedication. There's a huge amount of dedication to their process. I don't do anything. I only help facilitate something. That's all I ever do. Okay, I get lots of things saying, "Oh, thank you, Heidi," blah blah blah. I don't do it. You do it. Okay, it's your commitment. It's your. All I do is show you something. Is show you access to something. Show you access to a deeper component of yourself. It's you that has the commitment, and it's you that. That's why I get very emotional and feel very, very honoured to be part of that process for the intuitive sensitives. So I'm going to start getting emotional now. I'll just stop doing that. So thank you for being part of this session, and I strongly recommend, if you have really enjoyed the session, that you do become a member, because this becomes something that we do in a very kind of private setting where you feel very connected to other people just like you. Okay, so thank you very much for listening, for watching, and I very much look forward to seeing you soon. You take care. Bye now.